For those of us who long for a better world, we are living in interesting times. You may have heard the expression, "May you live in interesting times," erroneously attributed as an ancient Chinese curse. Apparently, scholars had never found an equivalent expression in Chinese. Be that as it may, the expression captures the all too human tendency to seek comfort in that which is reliable and routine. So rather than experiencing these interesting times as invigorating and enlivening, we tend to experience them as disconcerting and even threatening. A global pandemic has wreaked havoc on our personal and communal lives. For months, we were forced to live in the tiniest of bubbles, venturing out of our homes only as absolutely necessary and forgoing gatherings of friends and family. The rhythm of our lives have been disrupted for months on end. And just as we thought things were going back to normal, a fourth wave hit. When will it end? UUCJ has faced a number of disappointments and challenges recently as well. The resignation of your minister, the resignation of your director of religious education, and the departure of your office manager, all within a relatively short period several years ago. Since then, you've been in basic survival mode. So this month's theme, Embracing Possibility, coming as it does at the beginning of our shared ministry, is a harbinger of better times to come. We mustn't assume that we know the long-term consequences of any of the events of the last few years. Like Farmer Chen, we must maintain a wait-and-see posture. We must be open to the possibilities, both in the times of discomfort and challenge, and in the times of ease and prosperity, for we really do not know what will come next. What we do know is that our experience of this lifetime is largely dependent on our perspective. We can choose to see a glass half empty or a glass half full. Both perspectives are objectively true, but only one perspective supports a feeling of abundance and well-being. As individuals and as a congregation, we have a choice to make. And make no mistake, it is a choice, whether to limit ourselves or to embrace the possibilities. And there are always possibilities. As Leah Morris said, we always have the choice to remain open, to embrace all the possibilities in a situation. We might take a second to reevaluate a situation and to see how it unfolds. Now, that's where I think we are as a congregation, in a time of taking a second look, reevaluating the situation and seeing how things unfold. The problem is that when we are experiencing despair or self-doubt or uncertainty, it's extraordinarily difficult to see the possibilities. Our limiting emotions cloud not only our judgment, but also our perception of objective reality. And that's when we need someone to help us see rightly. I share this story about my daughter and a recent experience that she had with her permission. Lucy is a fourth year at the University of Virginia, majoring in studio arts with a concentration in film. A few weeks ago, she was invited to be a teacher's assistant for an introductory class. That's quite an honor. So she was understandably devastated to discover that she couldn't accept the invitation because the introductory class conflicted with a class that she needed to complete her major. Having to forgo that honor, which would have looked really good on her transcript and been a step toward acceptance in a graduate program, was a real blow. Maybe yes, maybe no. This led to her making the mistake of looking up the LinkedIn profiles of some of her classmates. In comparison, Lucy judged her work experience and artistic portfolio to be completely inadequate. She didn't have as many entries in her portfolio, and she didn't have a summer internship in her field. She began to question all the educational choices she had made thus far, including her major, spending one summer studying abroad, and spending another taking extra courses. Her conclusion: she would never get a job in her chosen field. As her mother, I listened brokenhearted to her angst and self-deprecation. And then I went to work. I couldn't solve her basic problem, the need for a more robust portfolio of visual arts projects and an indication that she's capable of working in a collaborative environment. But I could search the internet for resources that might help her see that there were other possibilities for shoring up her portfolio and getting some relevant work experience. And so I sent her email after email with a link to this and a link to that and a link to the other thing. And without my input or knowledge, in quiet desperation, and at the very last minute before the application deadline, Lucy applied for various positions on 2 student-run publications, submitting a portfolio she was sure was subpar. Wouldn't you know it? She was accepted for all 3 positions and now needs to discern which one, or possibly 2, she has time for now that she's not going to be a teacher's assistant. A real boon, you might say. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Only time will tell. But Lucy's recent experience reminds me of a pretty well-known aphorism about change, which is meant to be comforting. It goes like this: when one door closes, another one opens. Nice, optimistic, and to my ears anyway, always sounded a bit too facile, a little bit too superficial for my liking. It wasn't until I found myself attending Al-Anon meetings years ago that I heard a more complete version, which rang true to my own personal experience, and I think is recently reflected in my daughters. When one door closes, another one opens, but it sure can be hell in the hallway. From conversations that I've had with many of you, I know that's felt like UUCJ has been in the hallway for a while now. Some doors have been closed, and other doors have yet to open. Being in the hallway, however, is providing you the opportunity to reflect on where this congregation has been, where it is now, and where it wants to go. And upon reflection, we have the opportunity together to create a new vision. Similarly, each of us has moments in the hallway, each of us individually, but our experience is not determined by the hallway. It's determined by what we do when we're in the hallway, what choices we make, what possibilities we embrace, and in a very meaningful way, by who stands with us while we wait for the next door to open. My ethics professor, Reverend Dr. Katie Cannon of blessed memory, used to talk about being pregnant with possibility. From my perspective, UUCJ is pregnant with possibility. You have the resources and the commitment to become whatever you can imagine. Your resilience is demonstrated by how you've adapted to the challenges of our time. Your love for and commitment to each other is evident in your creation of virtual real-time worship and your adoption of Zoom meetings as the new normal. And I've been involved in numerous conversations about the campus and how to make the campus more welcoming and more accessible for when we come back together in person. This time in the hallway is a time for brainstorming and visioning, for giving voice to your longings, for taking stock and imagining what's possible with what we have, because we have enough right here, right now. I never thought I'd be quoting Muhammad Ali in a worship service, but I found these words of his inspirational and appropriate as we consider ways in which to embrace possibility in our lives. He said, impossible is just a big word thrown around by small people who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. So I say, together, let's take that dare. Let's embrace the possibilities. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.